Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Mentorship Program. Understand the power of the Master Lease Strategy. This is a tremendous tool that far few people really understand how to correctly present it. If you're presenting seller financing, if you go for a direct approach to say, hey, you want to do seller financing? The answer is going to be no, the vast majority of the times. If you present to them, what is this Master Lease Strategy? They have no idea what you're talking about. What you need to do is make some initial benefit statements that approach them, find out their needs, and solve their problems. This isn't about you. God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion in this situation and listen to what they have to say. The Master Lease has a fixed price option. That's my construct of this thing. It's a Master Lease with a fixed price option to buy in the near future. Now, why would a seller agree to finance the sale of his own property? Great question. It could, one, be possibly deferring a large tax bill by booking an installment sale. 2, they want to retire and get away from the real estate. They're tired and they want to retire from the real estate. They want time to enjoy their life with no property management and no tenant issues, no lessee issues. They're tired of this nonsense. Using seller finance is a great way to start to get your first deal, or at least partial seller finance. Believe it or not, some cases the seller will accept your 100% financing on his property. That may sound illogical and impossible, but I guarantee you it's not, if you present it in the right context. I'm saying that a majority of them will at least listen to your conversation if you present this in an intelligent fashion. Now, maybe they'll not do 100% financing. That's really aggressive. But what if you could solve their problems? Listening to the investor selling their commercial property, they're going to conservatively and safely invest their proceeds. They're not going to blow it. That's not what they would normally do. Many of these sellers will be putting their money into the bank and putting it into a CD to be safe and secure. It makes sense. Now, the banks are currently paying a ridiculous, absurd, and frankly insulting 0.5% return on CDs. I was at the bank today, and their rate on a $100,000 CD was 3/8 of a point for $100,000 or more. Not even a lousy 0.5%. That's insulting. To give you $500 on a $100,000 CD, your hard-earned money, and they're using it to make tens of thousands of dollars and giving you a drop in the bucket. Not even the cream off the top of the milk, just a drop from the bottom of the bucket. This poor return is absurd and wrong for their hard-earned money. There's where we're coming from. You want a property owner who wants to get out and retire and get out of day-to-day management and have freedom, time freedom. It's not just money freedom, it's time freedom. You can give them both. The strategy is to provide a stable, fixed rate of income to the commercial property owner. That's what they want. They don't want to have to work for it. So what can you do for them? Many property owners own their property free and clear. You can skillfully find out if there's debt or not. You could do a property profile. You could get a preliminary title report. You could do a number of things to verify whether or not that. Go to a local title company and ask them for a property profile. Ask them for a preliminary title report. Now, if you buy the property, ultimately, they're not even going to charge you for the prelim. Now, there's a charge for a full title report, but you only do that when you buy it. But could you quickly ascertain accurately whether they own it free and clear? Yes, you can. And you can do it probably with a property profile and just verify it with them. Now, what to say and how to say it is the critical part of this whole equation. You need to ask, what if you could make the kind of money the banks are making and one of the most conservative investments they have, but cut the greedy bankers out of the middle of this equation and you get all the money? That sound inviting? Who's going to say no to that? Then you ask, what if I could show you how you can make a 5% to 6% return on the proceeds with safety, security, and collateral? Could we talk? Could we talk? You just given them the keys to the kingdom and exactly what they want to have. They know they're going to get a lousy return. What if you could give them a real return and do the same thing the bank does? A high percentage of owners, I believe, will say, yes, that's my personal experience, my mentee's experience, and my family's experience. Proceed to share them how they can get their money with safety, security, and collateral. They don't want to hear rhetoric. They don't want to hear hype. The banks are making loans on real estate. Their real estate comes from the collateral of the security of the trustee of the mortgage. will do that same thing, but you'll have the mortgage, not the banker making all the money. You. The banks charge 4 to 5% on real estate loans, but then pay you less than 0.5% per year. That's crazy. They're making even higher returns than other crazy investments on credit cards. Double digit. On your money, you're getting 0.5% on. We cut the greedy banker, that's an insert, the greedy banker, out of your deal, and you get all the money. You can make a safe and secure full 5% or 6% on the sales price for a significant higher return than you would get to the meager, insulting, and embarrassing, ridiculous 0.5% return or less from the bank. You get a trust deed on the property because you're selling, it's the collateral. It's totally secured because you make all the money, not the bank. When you know that the property you are selling is worth the sales price, you know it generates the cash flow, you know it will easily support the payments. You have the security of the trust deed, the cash flow for the property, you know it's there, you know it's the truth, and you get a steady, solid return with no property management, no tenant lessee issues. What if I can make sure you have a safe, secure, higher return than the bank is paying, no property management, and possibly reduce your taxes on the sale? Wouldn't that be great? You've intrigued them. You've incited their anger against the banker. You've rallied them to your team, and they want to get the answers to how they can get that. A commercial real estate owner knows that when the property is run correctly, it'll make those master lease payments. It'll also make the seller financing payments. But let's talk about a master lease. On a master lease, the commercial real estate owner retains full ownership of the property. It's there, whatever it is, whether it's a strip shopping center, self-storage, or a mobile home park, which are the classic things you can do it with, but frankly, you can do it with any commercial property. Any commercial property. You would have a master lease with the fixed price option to buy the property at a later date. The commercial real estate owner will be free from having to deal with any tenants, any day-to-day management of commercial property responsibilities at all. That's the time freedom. You're going to give them the financial freedom because you're going to pay them the master lease payment, supported by the income from the property, and now they get the time freedom. They don't have to do anything. The commercial real estate owner would still own the property. They would still receive a monthly check from you on the master lease. Mobile home parks can be difficult to buy due to income verification. Well, what do you mean? Well, rents in most mobile home parks, unless they're a senior park, receive the rents for the spot, because the person may own the trailer, the coach, or whatever you want to call it, the mobile home, and they pay the rent in cash, or money orders from Circle K, 7-Eleven, made out to cash or made out to nobody, and they hand it to the property manager, the owner. So how does a potential buyer verify that the rent was collected? Can we be assured that every dollar, every penny, every money order, everything went in the bank? Maybe. Maybe it's stronger, maybe not. So how do you verify that the income is real as purported? That's difficult. Did the mobile home park owner or the property manager deposit all the money in the bank? You come to your own answer on that one. I think we know what it is. The owner will know that the real income of the mobile home park really is, and he'll know that if it's owned free and clear, it's an easy peasy for him to do. Here's the amazing statistic. 1/3 to almost half of all mobile home parks are owned free and clear by the mobile home park owner. Depending on the mobile home park's age and location, it could be higher or lower. If you've determined that you would like to buy the mobile home park from the current owner, structure an offer with seller financing. That's your first strategy. And tell them you can do the same pitch I gave it to you a minute ago. If they took the money from the sale, put it in the bank, they're going to get 0.5%. You'll pay them 5%. All the money going to them. And the banker would be cut out of this deal. They would have a first lien because they may own it free and clear. Yes, you could do that. Now, banks and institutional lenders are tougher because they're restricting and shortening the loan terms and requiring higher loan rates and large down payments. But they're always going to require proof of what the NOI is. You have a very, very slim chance of having any evidentiary material or proof of what the income really is in the property. What you're going to have to say is, well, They got all the money. The spaces are all rented. They lied to the IRS. They're telling you me the truth. Wrong answer. Mobile home park owner wants and needs to retire, and he wants to have day-to-day management. The motivation for a mobile home parker to sell and get out of management is huge. Now they don't have to deal with the tenants anymore, ever. Most mobile home park owners would prefer to sell for cash, but because of capital gains taxes and massive recapture depreciation at ordinary income tax rates, it is almost prohibitive. I had a client, we were doing something, and their capital gains taxes were about $185,000. The recapture depreciation was almost $400,000. It was going to take more than half of their $1 million proceeds on the gain. So we did something else. But this could be an issue for these people, so you can maybe structure something that makes sense. Mentioning to the mobile home park owner that seller financing would reduce their income tax possibility because you could book an installment sale. They wouldn't have to pay all the money up front. You could do an installment sale where over a period of 5 years, you own the property. But you're under contract. You've got it. You're locked in. And they don't have to pay that horrific tax all on year one. I'm not practicing tax law. I'm just talking about a conceptual model. Talk with your tax advisors. But clearly, book an installment sale. Think about that. You sell it over time, and that minimizes and spreads out the seller's possible taxation. You can buy the home park from the owner. Ask to buy it low or no down. Sure, you could. If they don't want to sell the mobile home park with seller financing, offer as an alternative the master lease for the park with the option to buy a fixed price option in 1 to 5 years. And here's your argument. It's real simple. In all probability, it is highly unlikely they're going to provide you with the proof of the real income. You're going to have to, quote unquote, trust them. So you're going to flip the trust issue around. You know it's making money. When we get it, we're going to put the money in the bank. We'll be able to prove what the income is, so we'll be able to buy it. We believe you. We trust you, so we ask you to reciprocate and trust us to manage the park and pay you out of these proceeds that you know are true. You will take over all the mobile home park management responsibilities and pay them a regular payment. It's not really a lease payment. It's a master lease payment, but it's a lease payment notwithstanding. The mobile home park owner knows that when properly run, the mobile home park will make all the money he's purported it is, and you'll be able to make the master lease payments to them. They have to know that. The mobile home park owner would still own the mobile home park and receive a monthly check from you for the master lease with no property management, and they still own the asset until you take it over. The mobile home park owner would give you a master lease with a fixed price option to buy the mobile home park sometime in the near future, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The park owner will be free from all tenant and free from all mobile home park day-to-day management responsibilities. This is time freedom. This is just as important as the money freedom. As a new mobile home park owner, you'll be able to buy the real estate and the business that you might not have otherwise been able to afford, because now you can step into it the easy way with low or no down, either by seller financing or through a master lease. As the new owner, you'll be able to shelter some of your income, take advantage of depreciation, and take advantage of IRS Code 179. You'll have tax deductions for business and other deductions. So you can shelter that income. Strip shopping centers. This is one of the largest group of properties around. There were 66,000 strip shopping centers. These are the small 3, 4, 5 unit shopping centers. Not a big shopping center, not a mall, but just a local shopping center. The strip. A significant portion of the shopping center's income comes from local patrons. They're also owned by local owners who have less experience than major commercial brokers. You're dealing with local constituents who are patrons, your locally owned businesses, and a locally owned, less experienced commercial investor. Strip centers are frequently tenanted by mostly local companies, the mom and pops of the world, the local town business. The turnover in strip shopping centers is rather common, and more frequently than in office buildings or industrial or big regional shopping centers, the big retail shopping centers with the malls. Often the strip centers owners are faced with hands-on dealing with tenant issues requiring constant property management. That is a lot of work. Many strip shopping center owners manage the properties themselves, and they're not professionally managed. Potential seller may be tired of all these intense personal property management hassles and issues. Present the opportunity to master lease a strip center with a fixed price option to buy. Now, you could first offer the idea of seller financing, but I think in this case, since we want to find out what the scope of the work is, I would go for the master lease. Address the existing tenant issues, reposition the center by getting financially stronger tenants, eliminate the month-to-month leases, and positioning this thing for greater cash flow success. Increasing the rents and having the rents should reduce having leases, not just month-to-month, should reduce the tenant issues. Increase the quality of the cash flow. The third item I'd like to share with you is how to do a seller financing or a master lease on a self-storage facility. They can be very profitable operations, as well as what a mobile home park could be, which is a cash cow, and a strip center, which can be turned into a cash cow, and a self-storage, which could be a cash cow. This is a unique blend of both a business and a real estate, as operating as a specialized type of real estate. It's a bunch of big boxes with doors on them. It's real estate. It's ground with buildings, but it also has a business where people can rent that space for their goods, businesses and individuals. Nearly all of the self-storage facilities I know were originally built expressly for that purpose. I've seen some conversions, but it's not often, but they're usually built for that purpose. The opportunity to take over an existing self-storage facility requires getting all the business information, just like with any other kind of real estate transaction. You need to know the operating expenses, the actual income, and all of the nuances of the business as a real estate and as a business. You need to analyze the business as itself, reviewing the actual historical income, operating expenses, and see what the level of consistency of those is and if there's any anomalies in there. The highly motivated seller is someone who cannot or does not want to actively manage the self-storage unit anymore. They don't have the time. They don't want to deal with it. They want both financial freedom and time freedom. A non-performing or underperforming facility where the owner wants to get out could be another issue. It could be a health issue. It could be a divorce. It could be I don't know what. But if you have something which needs to be repositioned, you need to have the marketing chutzpah, the common sense, and the ability to make sure there isn't an underlying issue like there's too much competition or there's no need or whatever. You need to find out that the reason it's non-performing is something which is not systemically impossible for you to fix. If you got too much competition and there's lots of other competition for those people, you maybe ought to just pass and execute the 4-letter word. Next. But a highly motivated self-storage owner may be a good candidate for a master lease with a fixed option to buy. Solid property management combined with enthusiastic leadership will increase employee morale. You don't have that many employees. You have to have that many people you have to inspire. The turning around a facility would require better marketing, advertising, and here's kind of the steps you might do. You might do a market analysis, your own competitive analysis. What's the competition? Get the customer analysis of who are going, who are staying, come up with some marketing strategies, a marketing plan, and an implementation plan, and have a successful marketing campaign to turn around this facility, step by step by step. Look for ways to reduce expenses. Now, this is a 1-2 punch. If you can increase income, reduce expenses, that will turn around an unprofitable to being a very profitable self-storage facility. Now, the last secret I'd like to give you is close the deal when you buy it on the 3rd of the month. Now, I've hinted about this before, but let me go over it in depth. As a result, if you close on the 3rd of the month, you will, in escrow, receive a credit from the seller, the owner, equal to almost 2 months' rents. Well, how does that happen? Let me explain that to you. By closing on the 3rd of the month, you as a new owner are entitled to the rent from the rest of the month. So you get 27/30ths of the month's rent. You get a partial month rent credit from the seller equal to 27/30ths. That's almost 1 full month's rent of the scheduled rent, whether they collect it or not, by the way. Plus, you also get the rent deposits, the credits from the seller. This is not so much true in a self-storage facility, but it's certainly true on the other two. equal to the deposits and the rent held by the commercial real estate seller. Now, loan payments. Loan payments are always calculated and paid in arrears, not in advance. Well, how does that affect this? With this technique, the buyer would have to pay at closing the interest-only portion for those 27 days. So let's say we close on the 3rd of December. The first payment would not be due on the 1st of January. It would be due on the 1st of February, because it would have to have 1 full month of interest, the whole month of January, to accrue. So that means you would have literally the first payment due 57 days after closing. This maneuver will add to your positive cash flow forever, because you're always going to be operating on OPM, other people's money, on other people's cash flow, for the whole time you own the property. Would it be all right with you if you got like the equivalent of almost 2 months' rent at a credit toward your closing costs or towards your down payment? Would that hurt your feelings? It's a maneuver that the world doesn't really use, doesn't want. The banks don't really, not fond of it. Escrow can deal with it because they have a lot of closings at the end of the month, so having something that flops over to the next week would be okay with them. But the world doesn't know about it. Now you do. This is what it's all about, helping you become an informed, intelligent, commercial real estate investor. Take care.